What is going on, everybody? It is episode 940 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. That was the longest 258 in history and the fastest 259 in history. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. Little do we know, some minutes actually are longer than other minutes. A lot of people don't know that, but I just wanted to let you in on that esoteric knowledge.
Sounds like one of those things that if you have a stoner friend who likes to talk about. It's like,
guys, listen. Taco Bell arriving 3 p.m.
Today, it's like I think he's watching the show now, and he's like, "I'm gonna order Taco Bell right when the show starts."
And I'm just like, like, why? It's so just rude. Not fair.
It's actually better if it comes at like 1:30 or 2, where it's like 2 o'clock if it arrives. It's like that's
it. You know what? I'd rather just F it. Yeah. Arrives at 3. There, I know.
No temptation.
I know I can't have it, so it's fine.
Yeah, no temptation.
So I don't even need to think about it.
You see, it'd be different if we were still at the castle and it was like just downstairs, but you got to walk all the way across the way. It's not good. It's not good. And so I am hungry, ladies and gentlemen, but hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. I am also hungry for you to join the channel and to subscribe and to like the videos.
We're clout hungry.
We are clout hungry. So you should like all of the content, share it out with everybody in your life that you both love and hate in equal measure. The more people that you share the show with, the faster this channel can grow. So
and give us $100.
And give us $100 as Mary's request.
I'm just gonna say that every day now.
give us a crisis party. So guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but like, look. So do you want to first? Actually, you know what? Cast Brew, beginning of the show.
Just get it out of the way.
Do it. I mean,
that's a good idea.
You can do it at the beginning and at the end, but do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you give me the entryway to shill for Cast Brew. If you go to castbrew.com, you'll see on the featured page my personal flavor.
It's in the description
my face
box.
on it is right now available. It's called Mary's Ghost Blend. It's s'mores flavored. I was just promoting it on Instagram and Twitter last night, or X rather. And some people actually said they aren't going to buy it because it's too scary. And demonic.
Too demonic.
You know what? I just don't think that this is demonic. If I thought it was demonic, I wouldn't have said yes to this design. The only thing that's creepy about it really is just the eyes. It's not.
I think it's the cloak.
Is it the cloak? Really? I can't wear a hood.
Well, it doesn't look like a hoodie. It looks like you're wearing a cloak. So I grew up in the age of, there was nothing scarier for scary movies when I was a kid than like evil children. I mean, that's still a thing now, but like Children of the Corn, when I was a kid, the idea of the demonic children, the evil children.
Yeah.
So, girl with the cloak and the eyes, depending on how much exposure they have to like anything in the real world.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess some people thought that was confusing, or they thought that it was a design that was chosen against my will. But no, I came up with it. I gave Jessica
that make you edgy?
The idea.
Does that make you edgy? Like in religious circles, does that make you edgy?
A lot of people think I'm goth and emo.
At the same time. Those are different things. That never made
totally
any sense.
Different.
Like emos and goths aren't necessarily the same people. They might have like crossover in their friend groups, I guess. But, that's very
totally
rude.
different eras, actually.
Yeah.
The goth thing was very 90s.
I mean, there were still goths in my generation.
Well, I just mean like the last real goths were of the 90s.
And then emo was my high school
emo was the
life.
2000s. Yeah. And then scene was more so like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
So, yeah, I mean, so emo was kind of in, like, when I was in high school, and then emo led into scene in the MySpace days, which is like just after I got out of high school.
All three of which I was too young to participate in. So I'm not part of any of those subcultures. I just thought that it looked cool. Okay, it's Halloween season. Get festive. Stop moralizing over it.
I agree. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Number one, of course, being that the culture war is ravaging many, many different brands, two of which are Netflix and Disney, both of who are suffering right now. Netflix they still made a profit this quarter. They always make a profit, but they did not hit the numbers that they were looking to hit. And Disney lost a boatload of subscribers because of the Jimmy Kimmel debacle. So pick your poison. Is it the Elon Musk and the transgender children over on Netflix? Or is it Disney with the Jimmy Kimmel Free Speech Coalition and all of that bull crap that was going on over at Disney Plus and Hulu? So it's causing problems for all the businesses involved. We will discuss that a little bit. We're also going to talk about Kanye West's daughter, Northwest, who is just, she looks like Tekashi 6ix9ine in these photos. It's not a good thing.
I forgot about Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I know, right? Well, I like the droid said, like, they look like the bottom of like a detention desk. With those face tattoos. Fake face tattoos, but it's a disturbing look for a 12-year-old child.
Or really anyone.
But, you know, we're going to talk about that because we just recently saw Kim Kardashian talking about how, you know, she supposedly was going to put the kibosh on such things, but apparently not. We're also going to talk about the return of shipping culture. This is the death knell for me. There's nothing I hate more than overt, like over-the-top shippers for fandoms.
What about the people who aren't over-the-top?
No, it's still bad.
You hate all of it?
Yeah.
But, like, you've never been watching a show or a movie and thought, like, those two characters would be good together?
I guess. Look, I'm in the alt-right pipeline.
I guess you are. Yeah, we're also going to talk about how being anti-shipping is going to send you down the alt-right pipeline.
Look, I have no such attachment to a character like that. I would be more upset if like bad things happened in a familial relationship. So I don't care whether two characters together, but if like parents and kids have fallings out, that tends to bother me sometimes.
But you don't think two characters would make a good romance subplot?
Usually I just think about how they're going to ruin it, how they're going to do it wrong.
Yeah.
I'd rather be pleasantly surprised.
Sure.
Or have the one that nobody saw coming.
Sure.
But, you know, that's just me. Also, people have too much of an attachment to these characters. They do.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about Scream Clubs. No, it is not fans of the Wes Craven movie franchise. These are people who are screaming to release trauma from being a woman and generational trauma. They're just to the left of those people that were twerking to release generational trauma. It's a whole thing. We're going to get into it. We got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Mary, if you're ready, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
So Disney, of course, was facing a lot of cancellations of their streaming platform after the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live, short-lived as it was. And on the other hand, Netflix was facing a ton of cancellations and calls for boycott due to Elon Musk signal boosting the message that Netflix is pushing transgender ideology on child audiences. A lot of examples were being spread at the time. This was only a few weeks ago, but they were mostly shows.
Internet time was a lifetime ago.
Yeah, they were mostly shows on Netflix that either had come out years ago or were already canceled for years at the point they were getting reposted and circulated again. And it seems like the boycotters of Disney, of course, were from the political left because they feel they need to avenge the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel and stand for free speech by canceling Disney Plus. And a bunch of celebrities were performatively participating in it. I remember Noah Centineo posting the screenshot of him canceling the subscription that he just started minutes before.
For a year.
Yeah, it was just insane.
For the year subscription.
And then, of course, the Netflix boycotts and cancellations were from the political right, ostensibly. Hence, the culture war in general being the #1 enemy of Hollywood right now.
So it looks like Netflix's shares dropped about 7% on Wednesday, and they had a third quarter earnings fail. Now, that's not to say that they lost money. Netflix always seems to make money, but what happened was they had a 6-quarter streak where basically they would exceed whatever the analyst predictions were. And in this case, it fell short, and the company cited this $619 million dispute with Brazil over taxes, and basically it says that Brazil levies like a 10% tax on outbound payments for services, royalties, or license use, and Netflix files this under cost of doing business, so it shows up under the cost of revenue category rather than their regular income tax, which is basically cost of revenue is treated as part of an expense of running a service in a specific place rather than a tax on their profits. But that was apparently weighing down their ledger sheet for them this time around. I just love the idea, however, that $619 million. We bandy about. I've been using that term a lot lately in videos. We bandy about the budgets of these movies. You know, these 250, the money that Netflix drops to make Red Notice, which is like the second most watched thing on their platform now after K-pop Demon Hunters or whatever. And they have these huge budgets. They pay Ryan Reynolds. I almost said Ryan Phillippe. They pay Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot millions upon millions of dollars. And you're like, where do they get the money for this? Well, they're just, they're getting $619 million taxes, tax levies from the country of Brazil. Like, the amount of money that they're pulling in must be insane.
So now they have lost 1.2 million subscribers since 2022.
I mean, that's old numbers. They don't even give their subscriber growth anymore. So that's just weird. Old information. Like, they don't have to. Disney has taken to the same practice in the last 2 quarters. Mm-hmm. They're no longer announcing like total subscribers at the end of a quarter.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then Disney, it says, lost 3. Let's go over here to this article from Fox Business. Disney lost 3 million subscribers in the month of September, twice as much as the 3-month average, which is about 1.2 million subscribers over 3 months. The churn rate for the number of customers that stop using the service in a given time. So they'll do monthly churn rate, quarterly churn rate, yearly churn rate. It jumped from about 4% to 8%. Hulu lost 4.1 million subscribers as well. That's up from 1.9 million the month prior. Now, what they don't tell you in this, which of course we found in the Variety article afterwards, is actually buried in the bottom of the Fox Business article, which is that, yes, they lost 4 million subscribers, but both services added over 2 million new subscribers to each platform, not total, 2 to each platform, which is a 10% and a 5% increase platform-wide, respectively.
Variety pointed out that both Disney Plus and Hulu had higher signups in September than the 2 prior months.
I really hope that wasn't people on the right, like, owning the libs. Like, I really hope that's not, I'm going to sign.
And then signing back up?
Well, no, because it was the left that was canceling Disney. Like, I hope they weren't like, I'm going to sign up for Disney Plus because they canceled Jimmy Kimmel. Like,
I hope not.
That would fill me with secondhand embarrassment at levels I can't even explain.
Disney Plus had 2.18 million new subscribers, and Hulu had 2.11 million, according to estimates. In addition, the number of gross ads for September for both Disney Plus and Hulu saw a market share of 14% each. And for the 12-month period from September of 2024 to 2025, Disney Plus signups averaged 1.99 million and Hulu averaged 2.25 million.
So I was trying to explain churn rate. So basically think of it like this. It's like the number of subscribers lost during a period over the total number of subscribers that start at the start of the period. So if they have 100 million subscribers and they end with 95, they lost 5 million subscribers. So with 100 million subscribers total at the start, that means it's like a 5% churn rate. So the lower the churn rate, the better it is for your platform. It means that less people are canceling in a given time. So even if you add 2 million subscribers, that doesn't help a whole lot if your churn rate gives you numbers higher than who are adding to the platform.
They also mentioned Disney, following in the footsteps of Netflix and others, will stop reporting the number of subscribers for its streaming services, saying the metric has, quote, become less meaningful to evaluating the performance of our businesses.
Well, I mean, that's honestly... No. So the thing is, though, is now that they've added, like, free ad-supported tier, like, it actually matters more, like,
on Disney?
Like, well,
there's
Disney
a free tier?
No. Disney has ad-supported, so you still have to pay for it.
Of course.
But it's ad-supported, so they make money, they make revenue off of the ads that are on there as well. So it actually matters what they signed up for. Theoretically, you could be better off, Disney could be better off with you paying less money per month for the highest tier, as long as they've got eyeballs on the... And historically, at least last year or the year before, they weren't doing the numbers they wanted to under fast data, meaning that they wanted higher numbers for their free ad-supported tier, except for it's not free. It's like past, not fast. It's paid ad-supported tier. But they weren't getting the numbers that they wanted there. But they want more eyeballs on that ad-supported tier because it puts more eyeballs on the actual ads, which means they can charge more to these companies that are then running ads on their platforms.
But all of the streaming services are also hiking their prices on every
HBO
tier.
just did.
HBO
Effective immediately.
did zero warning, zero notice, and now the lowest tier of HBO Max is $10.99 a month.
I think it was 11. Wasn't it like 11? It was like another $1.
Was it really?
And that was on top of their stock hitting its highest price ever because of, or it's like highest price in like ages because there's all of this interest coming now from Paramount Skydance, from Comcast, and from supposedly from Netflix. Netflix has actually scoffed at this. They said they have no interest in any of it. I don't know if I believe that. I believe that Netflix would have an interest in their streaming platform and their movies, and no interest in their networks, like the stuff on Discovery. Like they don't have any interest in the television side of things, but they have an interest in the streaming side and the movie side. But with all of this interest coming from these other businesses, now the stock has hit like record numbers for HBO, for Warner Brothers.
I'm just like, how is anyone affording these platforms?
Yeah.
Like you pretty much have to choose one or nothing.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can spend hundreds a month on all of them.
I mean, the only one that makes them like one that I'll always have Amazon Prime because I'm always going to want things delivered.
I was also like looking at flight prices last night, and I was just like, how the hell is anyone traveling ever anywhere?
Yeah.
Literally, how? I don't understand what's going on in the economy.
The world is too expensive.
Yeah, truly everything. And I just found out that airlines don't have to refund you when they cancel your flight anymore. So that's cool. Just imagine all the revenue they could save.
Yeah.
Is
that true?
That is true.
Okay.
That's a new development. I think that it was the Trump administration.
Well, no, the thing where they were supposed to recredit you immediately if your flight get canceled, and then that got like overturned.
They don't have to do that.
Yeah, but it's bad for business if they don't.
I know that's why they did it, but it's still infuriating.
So the thing is, guys, is look, the culture war being what it is, these are going to go in waves, right? The thing is a lot of people have very short memories. We'll get to that 20 in just a second. Like people have very short memories. They're going to cancel Netflix, and Netflix might suffer more from the conservative side. The conservatives might stand on their values, cancel Netflix, and not go back. A lot of them, they brag about not knowing what's going on in pop culture anyways, so it doesn't matter. But like the Disney side, they're just going to wait it out. They're going to wait you out, and then the people who are like, why did I cancel? Oh, Jimmy Kimmel. I got to get, the new Hulu show. Paradise Season 2 is coming out.
They don't need to worry about this stuff because most people... most of their customers are not politically engaged.
Correct.
So
we got two 20s.
A couple 20s. Rural Conservative said, finally watched the Ritual movie. I was excited to see it since Erling is my hometown. It was a decent movie. The only thing that bothered me was the historical inaccuracies, like the habits, and there are no catacombs.
Like, I don't know what the movie is, but I'm guessing that catacombs being added was purely for visual aesthetic.
There were no catacombs.
Oh,
apparently.
Okay. Oh, he says, and there are no catacombs. So maybe he's saying that, I don't know if he's saying that there were catacombs in the movie.
I don't know.
Okay, so,
I forget what that movie was.
But, very rarely, especially like, here's the thing. When you get something made about a place where you live, it's never going to be accurate to where, like, you as an insider
unless you live in New York or LA.
Even then, it's like even this. How many times do you watch a show in like New York City and they're like, so they're on the main street and there's people walking around, so they have to block off like an entire street to do that, so they can have the people walking, so it feels like New York. But then they go down a side street and there's nobody there. Yeah. It's the emptiest side street in history. Or they go and pull up to an apartment building and there's just parking. Just Doris Day parking right in front. That's not a real thing. Not in the real world. That's not how things work. So you have to make allowances for that stuff.
Pop Culture Junkie said Disney has been making much more money from the ad-supported tier than originally anticipated because their audience turned out to be people that are almost impossible to reach with broadcast TV, with the exception of NFL.
And they own ESPN, so yeah, ads, like, it's so funny. It's like everyone's just going around the world to end up right back where they were before with ads being shown. And I have my own rules when it comes to ads. So I will watch old TV shows with ads. I will not watch new TV shows with ads, nor any movies with ads.
Why?
Old TV shows, when I watch them with ads, it feels like I'm watching it just on, like, you would have watched it back before streaming was a thing. So ads would have been the matter of course. I would have never bought a season of a TV show without having watched it first. So I never would have experienced it without ads.
But do they take care to add to place the ads where the commercial breaks were?
Rarely.
Okay, so there you go. That's like defeats the purpose.
So that is actually one of the most annoying things. So there have been more than a couple of examples where, because when you were watching things on streaming, there are no natural places, there are no natural breaks for ads. But when you watched it on television, it was literally the end of a scene.
Yeah.
And what would happen, they'd place the ad and it would happen like literally right before the scene ends. And then it would just pick right back up. That was infuriating, but also oddly rewarding. But when it comes to movies, I never watched movies on television. I only watched them either on DVD or I guess VHS or in the theaters. So I never experienced them with ads. So the only time I will watch anything with ads is if it's old television. I will watch old episodes of Hercules or Walker, Texas Ranger with ads if I don't have Hulu on.
Okay, fair.
All right. Look, this is going to keep happening every couple of months. There's going to be some new controversy that's going to cause the stock to fluctuate, and then people will find their way back to it.
So you all remember Disney's not-so-secret gay agenda, right? That's a bit of a throwback. Well, now it seems, according to activists, Disney is unveiling their new not-so-secret straight agenda, because they just offered a first look at a new short film animation project called Versa. And the only images we have so far show a heterosexual couple in this short film where you can see the woman in the animation is pregnant. And it's described as a young couple living a range of emotions from loss and mourning to supreme joy while embarking on an ethereal cosmic dance of life, which is incredibly vague. But the inspiration behind this story was actually autobiographical on the part of a Disney animator named Malcolm Pierce. And he explained how this story is deeply personal to him, and he pitched it as something that was inspired by events in his own life with his wife. He said during the making of Moana, him and his wife lost their infant son, Cooper. In grieving their loss, Pierce was inspired to tell their story. Their son's baby shower theme revolved around stars, and his mother-in-law gifted the couple a crystal star, which was placed in their kitchen window. He said every morning we'd come downstairs and all of these rainbows would be spread around the house from the star, and it became a way of remembering Cooper and keeping him close to us. And that was the beginning of his inspiration for the story and the way that they animated it. There's no dialogue in it. It's telling the story through dance, from what I gathered while reading the piece. Look, I don't think Disney should continue leaning into these autobiographical stories on the part of their writers and animators. Turning Red is another example of that. And it didn't do well for obvious reasons. I also don't, I'm not decided one way or another, but I lean toward thinking maybe the subject of miscarriage and infant loss of that shouldn't be, and it didn't do well. Why am I hearing my own voice? Shouldn't be a theme in children's entertainment, because it's just heavy and something that seems too much for them to understand, at least without guidance from their parents. But this announcement was actually met with vitriol from gay Twitter. Understandably, they're upset that when Disney features gay romance in their films for children, for instance, the kiss scene in Lightyear, conservatives say that they're pushing a gay agenda on kids. And they're like, well, How is this any different? And here were some of the responses. Grooming and sexualizing our children with straggit birthing propaganda. They're calling us straggits now. Another one said this looks like soulless het slop. Another one satirically said, my 3-year-old granddaughter looked at me with her innocent eyes and said, Grandma, is it normal for a woman to love a man? Disgusting. Forcing my granddaughter to see this repulsive hetero propaganda. A kid shouldn't be forced upon these views at such a young age. Another one said, children don't need to see this heterosexual ideology. Keep this heterosexual shit away from me. Disney is making propaganda for the straights now. I will be boycotting. And another one said, God forbid there's a queer couple and they're pushing sexuality content to children. I can't. If it were a gay couple, MAGA would instantly whine about it. And another complained, I sincerely think that the movie can be beautiful and all, but the heterosexuals who complain about the LGBT propaganda for a kiss scene are now making a heterosexual movie about reproduction for children, and we should accept it. It's an effing joke. And another one said, I'm tired of the whole, it's based on the director's life shit. The guy who lost his baby. People used to defend Disney/Pixar. They did that with Elemental too. Which stories are told is a deliberate choice. It's not random. They refuse to tell LGBT stories, but we're supposed to just be quiet about it? This is news to me. Disney refuses to tell LGBT stories?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't...
I remember when that became the reason why people supposedly didn't go see Lightyear.
There was Lightyear, but there was also that other Disney animated movie, I think called Strange World. Mm-hmm. Remember that one?
But nobody saw
with a gay
one.
Protagonist, which also nobody saw. But they tried to tell LGBT stories.
Elemental was the one that ended up doing better than people thought because it legged out to a decent return. But Strange Worlds was the one that bombed.
Right.
I think.
And, you know, now knowing the context of how this story came to be, all of these people just look like raging pieces of shit sociopaths.
I mean, but they don't see this as any different than the conservatives who are boycotting because to them what they live is normal, but to you what you live is not, even though, you know, that's not true.
Well, they're like, how is this any different? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because it is different. And Snoop Dogg so astutely pointed out that the content involving LGBT themes for kids is inherently confusing. Kids, they do have more critical thinking skills than we give them credit for.
And
the obvious question, he did backtrack, but the obvious question on their minds is, wait a minute, how did 2 men have a baby? Yeah. Can you explain that to me, Grandpa? They're in the theater with Snoop Dogg, and he's like, I'm not ready to have this conversation with you right now. Yeah. Kids are logical and they make judgments based on their real world experience, which is obviously that only men and women can have babies. And when they're exposed to LGBT themes or stories in their entertainment, it's naturally something that disrupts and confuses their development. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is different, and it's not a double standard. It's just a standard.
So if you're looking for like a light at the end of the tunnel for something like this, first of all, this is a short and it's not a regular movie anyways. But if it was, the issue here is that when stories like Strange Worlds or Lightyear fail, look, you could say there's any number of reasons. Certainly Lightyear had a million things working against it beyond just, you know, their LGBTQ storyline, which was put in there, which might bother some, doesn't bother others. More people were wondering why Buzz Lightyear looked like a dirty cop and why he wasn't being voiced by Tim Allen. Right? Mm-hmm. But in general, if a story is told in that realm and it fails, they will chalk that up to it not being a large enough amount of the population to make a dent in the box office. Whereas if a story like this fails, it's not going to be because people boycotted it. It's just not. It's going to fail for other reasons.
Because it isn't marketed well, or the fact that it's a short film made for streaming. It is a vanity project, and
and I agree with your point. Like a lot of the times, it's not necessarily the best form of storytelling to do self-insert characters, because the creativity is oftentimes hindered when you're tying it to a real world experience. Now, that doesn't mean you can't draw from real world experience to tell stories. That's obviously inherent to the storytelling process. Makes perfect sense. But a lot of times now, what people feel like, the reason they feel like they don't connect with the characters isn't because they don't look like them, or because they don't sound like them, or they didn't have the same socioeconomic upbringing as them. It's because it was written with such a small audience in mind that it doesn't have a wide enough appeal to anyone. I was doing a video today, and I ended up scrapping it and getting rid of it, about girl bosses and some examples of why I think why giving the examples of Ripley is always so, they always mention Ripley or Kill Bill or Sarah Connor. I'm like, yeah, but those are like the action hero versions of that. The real reason, the real girl bosses that actually worked were characters that had more intrinsic real world jobs and things like that. And the examples I gave, where I was rewatching Necessary Roughness with Callie Thorne, where she plays she plays a therapist who works for a professional football team. She's a newly single mother. Husband was a cheater, and she's back on the dating market trying to balance life and a new job and kids. And then you have examples like Lisa Cuddy, House, who's a professional woman, head of a hospital, but always wanted a family, and had to deal with the fact that she was infertile and all this stuff. Those storylines can appeal to a wide range of people. It's not so specific to one person that nobody who's watching could be like, I don't get it. Like, it's tied into other stories. But if it's specifically about a miscarriage, it runs the risk of being so specific to that person, especially if they write the responses that the behavior the character embodies to how they actually were, that they lose the ability to tell a larger story to an audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, honestly, I just feel like from reading how this came to pass, they were going to feel like a-holes if they didn't let him
make it.
But I only pointed out just to be fair, right? Because Turning Red is supposed to tell the story of what it's like to hit puberty as a second generation Asian immigrant and feel shame about your menstrual cycle. And I don't know. It was really a self-insert that was incredibly specific to this director's experience.
We need more like stories about what it's like to hit puberty with like mountains of white guilt.
I'm just pointing out, like, they should veer away from the self-insert stories, and that probably isn't a recipe for success. And I'm only saying that to be fair. But the response from these ideologues is more telling about who they are as people and the quality of their character, that they would respond with such vitriol. They are essentially trying to gatekeep the entire concept of, having a happy relationship away from straight people. And again, we're in a really bad place if you're going to conflate the entire phenomenon of human reproduction with right-wing propaganda. If you're going to politicize the idea of starting a family, that means you're the problem.
Ethan Miller says, miscarriages are stupid common though, Brett. Yeah, okay, so that's actually a good point. So the thing is, though, is like the story examples that I gave were about like someone's home life or desire for a family as it relates to larger, elements of their life, like work or other relationships and things. When the story is laser focused on one thing, and especially something so traumatic, I guess the biggest compliment you could give it is that it almost works better as a short story because it's such heavy subject matter that doing so on a larger scale might be even more difficult to do.
Let me point out a good example of it that was appropriate for an audience of children, and it was incredibly successful. Okay. There was a depiction of a miscarriage in the movie Up in 2009. And it was done incredibly well in a way that the adults in the audience understand what's going on. The children in the audience are introduced to the idea in an appropriate way that isn't ham-fisted and isn't too heavy for that audience either. So that I can point out as a positive example. And it's true, like, that miscarriages are more common than people
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
I believe like 1 in 5 pregnancies is miscarried. It is a very common experience. However, if the short film's purpose is to tell this guy's story specifically, then it is about him and his life and his marriage. It's not about something that's relatable to other people.
Another example I'll give for that is like, okay, so say you do it in a television show, right? You've spent more time, assuming that the pilot episode doesn't open up with a miscarriage. The idea is like you've spent time with these characters. You've built some type of quasi connection with their behavior because you've seen them through a bunch of different things, interactions at work, interactions with loved ones. You've grown to, in some way, shape, or form, care about what happens to them. So when something like that does happen, yes, it's traumatic, but it serves the purpose of the story and draws on an emotional connection that you built with them earlier.
Right.
If all you're doing is telling a short story where the long and the short of it, for lack of a better word, is just the trauma, you're basically just, I'm going to avoid like bad language here. It's rough. It's not it's harder to get involved.
Well, the reason they depicted the miscarriage in the masterful way that they did in Up is to give the background for the character of Carl, the old man, where he, then you're introduced to him after the course of events where he, has this lovely marriage with his wife, and then he's a widower, and you're introduced to him at this point in his life where he is this grumpy old man who's jaded, and then he meets the whimsical young boy that he goes on an adventure with, and then he develops a sort of like paternal relationship with the young boy. That's how it adds context and why it belongs in the story. But if the entire point of the movie Up was depicting him and his wife losing a baby, that would not be the right way to go about it.
I agree. All right, let's move on.
Kerry Russell recently did an interview with People magazine in which she talked about the trend of plastic surgery in Hollywood, specifically the fact that a lot of actresses in their 20s and 30s are turning to Botox and plastic surgery and fillers at a time when they obviously don't need it, and it also inhibits their ability to do their jobs, which is emoting on camera. Now, this is being framed in a bit of a deceptive way. The headline is that she's slamming plastic surgery. I don't think that she came across that way in her interview, but what she's saying is she relates to the character that she plays on TV in this show called The Diplomat, where her character is constantly getting shit from other characters for her appearance. And she relates to the part of her character that pushes back against that and chooses to just be who she naturally is. And Kerry Russell, appropriately, hasn't appeared to have gotten any work done, and she's 49 years old, which is incredibly uncommon for her industry.
She's also been working very consistently for a long time, so she had the money and the capital to do that if she wanted to. If you don't know who Kerry Russell is, she was the lead actress on the show The Americans on FX, I think it was. She was on that show with her husband, I think it's Matthew Rice. And they got together like when the show started. I think they're still married now, so good for them.
Well, hence why she seems to be so well adjusted.
Yes.
But this interview says Kerry Russell empathizes with her character in The Diplomat, Kate Weiler, whose looks are sometimes scrutinized by other characters. She said, it's such a weird thing being a woman. Everyone has an opinion about the way you look, the way you dress, the way your hair is. I think more accurately, she would say it's a weird thing being an actress because the average woman doesn't face nearly the level of eye-watering scrutiny about her appearance that an actress does. She said, it's just the nature of our society, but I also find it really enjoyable. It's a fun role to play. I like how cranky she is about it and how she's always trying to fight people about it and is rude about it. I find it delightful. It's something my girlfriends and I talk about all the time. Plastic surgery is having such a moment right now. Men, women, 20-year-olds, it is around. We're inundated with these movie stars. Even though they might be 50 or 60 years old, they look amazing. I watch this show and I'm like, I do not look like that, I like the way I look on the show. And it's amazing that I feel like that's strange. That's a unique thing, but it is.
Even without plastic surgery, like they're done up to such an extent when they're on camera that's not what they look like either.
She's being overly complimentary of these aforementioned 50 and 60-year-old actresses that are altering their appearances because I don't think that they look amazing. I wouldn't say that's the right way to describe it. They look uncanny. Nicole Kidman is one example of that. She's gotten a lot of work done over the years. She looks frozen, and her role in Baby Girl is she's playing this high-powered female executive. There is a scene in the movie where she is in the middle of getting filler and Botox. So it's accurate to the character she's playing, but it should also be pointed out she can only take roles in which it contextually makes sense that the character gets work done because she can't possibly be in a period piece or something
they do that
where
anyways.
she's playing someone in the middle class who doesn't have access to those types of things. So she's limiting the roles she can take. She also isn't able to act as effectively because her face is frozen, and she looks more disturbing in motion than in static photography on red carpet.
But that's at least from what we've discussed, is like it seems like the point of the plastic surgery is to make you look good for static photography rather than for in motion. I never noticed this. I don't know. Maybe this isn't available on IMDb, the app, but there's a section for salaries with like examples of like what they made per episode.
Is that public though?
I mean, a lot of times that stuff is public.
It feels like looking up someone's net worth.
Yeah. Like they would talk about how Hugh Laurie made $1 million an episode on House. Apparently she was making $175,000 an episode on The Americans.
Damn.
$30,000 an episode on Felicity in 1998 money?
See, it just means more to hear this sentiment from someone who has access to getting all the procedures she could possibly want, and she's chosen not to. When for the majority of people, it's just not something they have the option to do.
Was she in Cocaine Bear? She was sorry in Cocaine Bear. I don't remember
her being in Cocaine Bear.
But she was in Cocaine Bear.
Interesting. One example of an actress in her 20s who ended up changing her appearance quite drastically is Erin Moriarty. This was a huge story at the time when she unveiled her new look. It was extremely apparent that Erin Moriarty got a number of procedures, possibly buccal fat removal, Botox, lip fillers, rhinoplasty. You can see in the before and after, she just obviously didn't make these changes with makeup alone, even though that's what she claimed at the time. And she was mad at people even for pointing out the difference and said that she was being bullied and all of you are so cruel for commenting on my appearance, even though I'm a public figure and an actress. That's the focus. Of course, it's a visual medium. So she really did a number on herself, and not commonly mentioned, but Taylor Swift as well has gotten more work done than people seem to realize. It's very subtle work.
How she looks on the left here with her eyes, that's how I'll always remember her. That's what she looked like when she was younger.
She used to have a very distinctive look, and she kind of neutered that over time. It is apparent that she, at the very least, got a blepharoplasty, which is a really weird term, but it basically means that they raise your eyebrows up so that you have more visible eyelid. So she used to have these hooded eyes that were more squinty looking, and she raised up her eyebrows, so now she looks shocked all the time, which might be a huge reason why she seems to have zero sex appeal.
I'm going to have my eyes surgically made farther apart so they're not so close together. That's what I'm going to do.
And other people think that she's gotten a lot of cheek filler, lip filler. She has also gotten a breast augmentation and possibly a nose job.
Did she talk about that?
Nope.
No?
I doubt she would admit it either if she were called out, but she's on the press run for this new album, and you can tell in the video interviews that she has a lot of injections.
I think she wanted. I think she's
face.
Getting married so that she has like a permanent chauffeur home from all her procedures. That's what I think. I think she's sick of paying a driver, and she wants Travis to just, sometimes you just want to be babied. She just wants him to take her home.
I mean, she could have done that without him, though. That was literally already the case. She's a billionaire.
I'm just saying, sometimes you want it to be from the person you love and not from Bill the chauffeur.
And not to mention, Kim Kardashian was on a red carpet recently with a mask covering her entire face. And we're supposed to believe that's a fashion choice. Like, I'm not the only one who suspected that was just hiding plastic surgery recovery.
Yeah. All right. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cute first.
Okay. All right. We will do that. Cute of the day. We don't usually do cute first, so here we go.
Well, that's why I chose it.
Okay. From Dead Man, says, it's been 6 months since the kitties were born and the family is doing well. Here's Valentine sleeping on my mom's bed, Twitch eating his favorite pastime, and Indy and Refund playing around the tower.
Very cute.
It's very cute. It's very cute. Oh,
love it.
We got like a new cat tower. It's massive and really only Toast uses it. And curls up at the very top.
She's more limber.
Yeah, she's younger.
Yeah.
Than the other two. All right, cringe of the day. Okay.
You're about to see a fat femme mermaid.
Okay. Here we go.
As long as fat black femmes are expected to be invisible, as long as we have a planet covered in water and an expectation that black folks can't swim, as long as fat folks are expected to hide themselves and black folks are supposed to be so focused on survival that there's no room for imagination and play and mirth and exploration and joy. As long as queer folks are expected to stay in the closet, yes, me posting videos is ballsy. Thank you for reminding me that I don't just go to work and bring magic to children and adults alike, that my very existence is liberation work, because sometimes I forget why I'm here, and I appreciate your reminder.
Yeah. I'll tell you, kids are fat phobic. They really are. And they don't know how to hide it because they, obviously they have no filter. I remember this one time, I was at a diner with my family and I was like, I don't know, maybe 5 years old. This morbidly obese woman walks in and she's seated at a table across from us. She literally had to wedge. There was no space between her and the table.
Yeah.
She had to wedge her stomach under the table and her boobs were sitting on the table. Okay. And I was like literally yelling and pointing at her and I was like, Mommy, look, she's so fat. And that's how kids think when they see fat femme mermaids. Like you're not bringing magic to anyone's life. You're just a zoo animal.
As long as racism, sexism, capitalism, misogynoir, and colonialism extract. Okay, all right, whatever. It's this ability for people today to speak like college professors in some type of weird word salad that doesn't really match up with reality.
I think she doesn't realize how many kids walk away from her exhibit and ask their mom or dad, like, why did she look like that? Why was she so fat?
Like, the thing is like, if capitalism's the problem, and certainly cronyism is part of the problem, and I don't think anybody would pretend like you were saying earlier, people can't even afford to fly. How are people affording to fly these days? Like, that could be like a unifying ideal. It doesn't have to be gendered or racialized. Like, people be struggling. Okay? You, me, the fat mermaids, everyone.
We're all united.
Like, we're all united under
struggle.
not being able to afford all the streaming services and fly. So
maybe the mermaids get paid handsomely. I don't know.
Maybe. All right. Let's move on.
Wait, I just want to add, I've heard like from the professional mermaids that work in Vegas and stuff, that what they do is actually incredibly difficult, and you have to be in incredible shape to do it.
Swimming is one of the best things, from what I've been told. Like, if you're trying to lose weight and you're like you don't want to run, because running is like, it's just hell on your knees and stuff like that. That swimming is one of the best forms of cardio.
They're super strong, and they have incredible lung capacity, and they have to be submerged in these tanks that are huge with the water pressure weighing down on them. It's really impressive. So I have no idea how she's capable of doing it, but
one thing is like, I listen to so much about wrestling. It's like, I want to at least be able to one time take a bump, like from like actually take a wrestling move, like from professional wrestlers. I want to get suplexed and actually take the fall.
I thought that
bump is the term you use for fall.
I thought that you meant
cocaine.
Yeah.
No. Bump is just the term for fall, like when a move gets done.
Okay.
So I want to be able to actually go through with like a wrestling match at some point.
That's on your bucket list.
That's on my bucket list.
Cool.
I want to like get suplexed. That would be sweet.
Cool.
Yes.
That could be your last day on this earth.
There's web series and stuff that do this type of stuff. It's like people who need to like legitimately broaden their horizons. I have such narrow interests that I need to like just go out and try new things.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. It'd just be hard to like, how do you do that? How do you find the person to go do that? I don't know.
All right. Without further ado, Northwest has a TikTok account, and this is incredibly controversial because her father, Kanye, has repeatedly spoken out against this decision to have his daughter on social media and be displayed to the world in the way she is. And one of her recent spates of TikTok posts featured her along with two of her friends, who I am assuming are also 12 years old, in these incredibly disturbing costumes. It looks like they got a makeover. They have a bunch of fake tattoos all over their faces. North is wearing a blackened grill over her teeth and a full face of makeup, false eyelashes and all. They've got fake colored hair extensions in with these long braids, tons of jewelry, fake piercings in their faces. And she captioned one of her posts, "Fake piercings and fake tats for life," along with her friends. And I'm just imagining, like, obviously they're in an incredibly exclusive social circle. These are probably girls that she knows from whatever it is, like super expensive private school in Calabasas that she goes to. And I have so many questions. Who are these girls' parents? Why do they think that it's appropriate for them to do these things on play dates as 12-year-old girls and then post it for millions of people to see?
It's also even weirder. Like, it is funnier to think about like this behavior in general, but this behavior in Calabasas is just so like what's that video of the kid who's like where he's like talking ghetto and he shouts to the guy who's like cleaning his car. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, I got somebody in the chat will know what I'm talking about. It's like a very famous video where the guy's like, "Hey, I'll see if I can find it." But the point is like you're acting outside of your social class right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the parents are nowhere to be seen, and they're sending their girls off on a private jet to go to some rapper's concert and take photos with him and get backstage passes. They're 12 years old, mind you.
No, by the way, yes, I know you said it earlier. These are not real tattoos.
They're fake.
They're fake.
Although I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it were real, because Kim Kardashian just lets North post and do whatever she wants in the name of allowing her to be creative.
Yes.
And, you know, that would be one thing if it were in the privacy of your own home, but it's being posted for the world to see on TikTok, and everyone is saying the same thing. This girl is growing up too fast. You're not letting kids be kids. And she is obviously seeing all of this stuff and imitating it from the internet where she is not supervised. And her parents, much like most celebrity parents, are far too concerned with their own promotion of themselves and their own lifestyles to pay any attention and spend time with their own kids. First example that comes to mind is Ben Affleck's crazy daughters. One of them thinks she has long COVID. The other one thinks that she's non-binary. And it's like, If a father were in the home, this would not be happening.
I'm surprised one of them doesn't have Lyme disease.
Right, exactly. Why doesn't Violet Affleck have long Lyme disease?
So I have a question for you. So I guess it's a little bit different for celebrities because they're going to be subject to public opinion anyways. But like, I wonder how much of it is like a lot of my generation who didn't grow up on the message boards, who didn't grow up arguing with people online, were introduced to the idea of hate comments and rude people much later in life. Do you think it's more or less damaging to for people to be exposed to like people talking shit to them when they're younger as opposed to when they're older?
Of course.
Worse?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I mean, look, I think
you don't have an ability to have perspective.
But I think like a part of like the argument that people would make to the contrary is like, you know, if it's a callus that has to like form, that they get used to it earlier in life. Now it could be it could make you extremely maladjusted and jaded towards the world. But I just wonder how much of it is like people my age who just never had to deal with it because they weren't like me and weren't on message boards when they were kids and had to deal with people talking shit.
No, I mean, I think that it's pretty obvious that children shouldn't be on social media at this point. Like, you have no excuse as a parent, no matter what social status you have, to think that that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's why it really comes off as so phony when Kim Kardashian says this in her Call Her Daddy interview. She says, my daughter tries to wear what the other kids are wearing, and I'm like, okay, we're never wearing that again. Unfortunately, we made that mistake in front of the whole world. She is referring to North stepping out in public for the paparazzi dressed like a prostitute. She's usually a girl that dresses like a tomboy most of the time, and she wanted to try something that her friends were wearing, and we went to the same place that they went to, and it's just like, okay, wait, maybe you can't wear that, you know? So as a mom, you're kind of learning at the same time. But what I do know is my baby is such a good girl, such a sweet girl. The things that she experienced where she might have been outspoken or did something, she learns from that. She listens to me, but in other areas, I'm like, if you want blue hair, it is what it is. It makes her so happy. I would never take that creativity away from her. So again, you can experiment with stuff like in your own privacy of your family and your home. That's not the purpose of this. She's playing dress up with her friends for the purpose of posting it and getting clout and comments off of it.
So the blue hair doesn't bother you. It's the fact that they're doing it for the sake of internet clout.
I mean, I think that most parents wouldn't be okay with it, even if it weren't posted online. But the fact that it's getting posted online to, let me count, 19 million followers and more as it's disseminated out from there, that changes the conversation entirely. And you can see in the bio here of her TikTok page, it's called Kim and North. It's supposed to be their joint account. Yeah. Me and my bestie, managed by an adult, Jesus loves you. That's their bio. And we're meant to believe that Kim Kardashian is the administrator of this account, that she makes all the decisions of what's posted. While North is just running wild on this page, posting whatever she wants, and that's why they delete videos so often, where she is lip syncing sexually explicit lyrics, dancing in sexually explicit ways, and then ends up getting taken down off of the page because Kim is checked out and doesn't care.
See, there's a great skit to be made here where North is like making the videos and she's like, so the camera's like hard, you know, it's like to the left of her, and she's like, Mom, can I post this video of me singing these song lyrics? And the camera pans over to Kim and she's like taking a photo with the Optimus bot.
Right.
And
like she's like, yeah,
posing
honey,
with the Optimus.
sounds great.
She's like, what?
Yeah, like, do your creative thing.
Yeah.
And
what song?
This started a long time ago. I wanted to show these pictures from 2019. This wasn't that long ago, okay? This is North 6 years ago making her debut, the very first time she was on a magazine cover as a child. I mean, this cute, innocent girl is getting put in a makeup chair and displayed for the world and commercialized. And I've been saying they don't do this with their sons.
Yeah.
she has sons that are now the same age. They're not being put out there as much. This is a family tradition for them.
I can give you the more, I guess what would be considered the more innocent version of this, which is like, so there's she's a singer and a family influencer named Sheena Melwani, and her husband is a guy named The Real Indian Dad. Doesn't make it his real name. And they have kids, teenagers, and they're in the content, but basically what was described is like they were given like do you want to be in it, do you not want to be, you can if you want, you don't have to be if you don't want to. And the son, from what I understand, at least a couple years ago, he was older, he didn't want to be in it as much as their daughter wanted to be in it, so he was in the content less because he just simply didn't want to be. Right. And so, and this is not this stuff we're talking like wholesome family skits and stuff like that. You make of that what you will about what you think about people putting their kids on camera for content. That's a whole nother discussion. But in general, wholesome comedy, whatever. But the son just didn't want to be as much. And I wonder if it's partially that and partially that in the Kardashian family, just the girls have more inherent value to them.
They do.
Yeah.
They 100% do. And not value as people, but as bargaining chips.
Yes.
For attention in the attention economy. And it seems appropriate to mention, of course, that Kanye was extremely outspoken about his opposition to North being put out there on social media and having social media pages, specifically TikTok, and no one listened to him. And they said that he was crazy. And I think it's fair to say he's been wrong about just about as much as he's been right about. And this is one of those things that he was right about. And people are finally ready to admit that. And that goes in line with a recent fake quote that was being circulated from North. She did not, in fact, say this, but it was claimed on a blog that 12-year-old North said she would choose her dad over her mom 1,000 times. And Kim ended up calling out this blog, saying this interview never happened, and the quotes are fake. North loves us both, and it's harmful and weird to pit a child against either parent for clicks.
Yeah.
And I agree with her in principle, but it's like, you're kind of playing into it, right? Because you're literally, for lack of a better comparison, what North is doing is she's just kind of cosplaying as her dad.
Yeah, I know, weird, especially with the grills.
Yeah, she's like taking after her dad.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's on the nitrous, and then it's game over.
No. Well,
No, I'm just saying it's a likely outcome, and I don't hope that happens, but it looks incredibly likely because she has zero guidance.
I always wonder what the best path forward is for people in these phases. Like, you always hear the stories of like kids will go opposite directions as their parents now. I feel like that's less and less common in Hollywood these days. Like, they don't want to, like, Hollywood used to like romanticize the story of the person forging their own path in the face of like famous parents or successful parents. Like, dad runs a multi-million-dollar corporation and wants his son to take over. It's like, nah, dad, I don't want to do that. I want to be in a band. Not even that. Like, I want to be a public defender. Make $2 a year. Like, and that was romanticized because everyone can understand the idea of wanting to forge your own path, wanting to make your own way in the world. But now the world is so freaking hard to survive in. People are like, I see this all the time. Like, if my dad owned a successful business, I'd have been like, yes, I will take over your business. Like, oh no, my dad runs a store and he wants me. Like, I wanted to go to college. Like, no, I'll take over the store. Any day of the week. Like, how do the kids of famous parents, like, it's like with the actors in the business, right? Like, poor Denzel Washington's son has to be the son of Denzel Washington who also wants to be an actor. But not all the kids choose to do that. A lot of them, maybe they go into working behind the scenes or in some other fashion. We need to get, like, somebody needs to get Northwest into chess. Or like something completely the opposite of what dad does and what mom does.
How about for now, North being 12 years old can get into dolls, coloring, reading, school.
I like that idea. Reading,
soccer.
Look, she can still social medias with reading. Have a book club. Talk about the books you read.
It's not looking good for her future.
Look, the thing is right now, if you're a young person in the age of social media, it's a golden age to pick up a niche hobby. Especially if you want a social media. Pick up masonry or woodworking. You can still make videos and you'll get lots of clicks if the production value is good enough. Like literally 80% of my YouTube shorts feed is just people making interesting cuts in woodworking with geometry.
That would be an interesting pivot for her.
Yeah, I want to see them start to, especially when you really think about it, they've been born into a life where they'll never have to have a job, not just because of what their parents are doing, but having 19 million followers before you're even of age to run your own social media account means that you will have sponsorships and you will make enough money to survive no matter what. Mm-hmm. Pivot. Start making some type of weird, go into some niche hobby and do that.
Or just don't publicize it.
Yep.
I think that would be the ideal situation.
That is better too.
Speaking of the economy being not survivable, I heard there's a recession indicator of people signing up to take the LSAT.
Oh, is that the real estate exam?
Yeah.
It's like the what's the meme? It's like the bottle service girl when she finally has to take her real estate license exam and she's crying really hard. Yeah.
All right. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary. Man, I did not have Phil mogging Mary with a coffee Photoshop on my bingo card. LOL."
I did see that.
Yeah. It's fake news. I was only promoting my coffee. Buy Mary's Ghost Blend. And Shane H. Wilder also said, "Speaking of mogging, Mary only has 935 bags left while Phil has 2,496. Don't look at me. I bought a shit ton of both. I drink a lot of coffee." Is that true?
How do you, do they list the...
Well, yes, Shopify does list how much is left, but I've been checking periodically, and sometimes it's higher and sometimes it's much lower. I think it just got restocked. It was at 300 left last night, and now it's 929 left. So, looks like it's doing well. Rural Conservative said there were catacombs in the movie, but none in reality. Okay, I misunderstood you there.
Okay.
Adam said Warner Brothers Discovery going on sale. There's a chance to restore the Snyderverse.
I did a video on this the other day, and
saying literally no.
Okay, so I was gonna pull it up. I thought I still had my notes that I took on it. I've taken to starting to take copious notes when I do these videos. I do not have the notes pulled up anymore. What I will tell you is just no. And that Zack Snyder is actually working on a movie right now. And that is by the way, that's another very lowly rated video. Anything I do cover. And in the video, I'm like, I like the movies. I think they were great. I think Zack Snyder had I preface with every word possible to be like, look, I didn't hate these movies. I'm not somebody that inherently thought that the Snyderverse was bad. I think there were certain missteps in the process, but the Snyder Bros are a different breed. And right now, Zack Snyder is working on a brand new movie. It's like a passion project of his that he's been working on since the early 2000s. He's in Colombia filming this movie right now with the lead actor being one of the guys from Rebel Moon.
Remember Rebel Moon?
I mean, nobody else does.
No.
But the point is, look, I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that they're going to. I don't think you can go home again. Let me rephrase. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that Zack Snyder his talents would be better suited going off and doing something separate. I think that it's never the same the second day. You know, what's the quote? Love's better the second time around. No, it's not. Never is. No relationship is ever better after you break up and get back together. And restoring the Snyderverse, it will not restore any type of luster to the brand. In my opinion, I think Zack Snyder is a very talented cinematographer. I think that his type of dark storytelling could work. I just don't think it's going to be the path DC is going to go, even if Warner Brothers is sold.
Thank you, guys. You really burst that guy's bubble.
Yep. Look, man, here's the thing. Even when I said that, I'm like, watch, me who never makes definitive statements, watch tomorrow be the day they're like, and we're restoring the Snyderverse. Look, there's precedent, I guess. Nobody thought they were going to get the Snyder cut
I mean, that would be way too confusing for people now that the David Corn Sweat Superman has already debuted. That's not going to happen.
I don't think
Stop trying to make the Snyderverse happen. It's not going to
happen.
happen.
And the reason why this was even being bandied about, as I keep saying, is that Zack Snyder launched an Instagram. He never had an Instagram before. And he had a post to celebrate 3 weeks on Instagram that was of Henry Cavill in this black and white monochrome photo that he took on when they were doing photo tests and stuff for his movies. And it said, Henry Cavill is Superman. And then congratulations, happy 3 weeks on Instagram. Thanks for all the followers and the likes and whatnot. So he's posted a picture of Henry Cavill as Superman. He posted a picture of Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. It was a very cool photo. And then just the other day, he posted a photo of Ben Affleck as the nightmare version of Batman from Batman vs. Superman. So if you want to go get, if you want your Snyderverse fix, you can go follow Zack Snyder on Instagram and get all the picture updates you want.
Shane H. Wilder said the color of the nun's habits to contrast them from the darkness of the story. As far as the story, the ritual was pretty accurate to the real story. Interesting, because I usually wouldn't trust Hollywood with anything related to the Catholic Church.
There's a big one there, and then we'll move on.
From Retro Heroes, thank you. PCC has been a huge inspiration for our music. We gave Tim his board brand and the Frog Pond a cameo in our Retro Hero video. But next time we'll cameo Mary, clearly the aesthetic pleasing of the two. Oh, that's rude. That was unnecessary.
Now
Brett's catching strays for what?
Now I'm pissed I didn't I had you read that one ahead of time. I should have made him wait. That was rude.
That was uncalled for.
Wait, hold on. Not bleeding. We're good.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Thank you, Retro. Despite what you just said, thank you very much
for the money.
Yeah. So before we move on, again, I've been watching the Stevie Richards podcast, and he would talk about how every so often you get just somebody who wants to get a rise out of you, where somebody who comes to you in public and is like, remember that time Chris Masterson broke your nose? That was funny. Those people exist in the real world, which is why you can't take anything you see on the internet seriously. Because if they're willing to say that in the real world, they're certainly going to say stuff like that to you online. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm assuming they didn't mean that in any rude way. Thank you, Retro Heroes.
Okay. Guys, I regret to inform you that shipping culture is making a comeback in full swing at the moment. It has resurrected from the Tumblr era of the 2000s or early 2010s. And I have evidence for why this is happening, multiple cultural flashpoints in just the last week or two. First of which is centered around a couple of YouTubers who you may or may not have heard of before. They're named Dan and Phil. And I watched them when I was a kid. I stopped after a while because I kind of just grew out of their content. But they were this comedic duo, and they were sort of part of that golden era of YouTube fame. And
you asked me if I knew who they were.
It was definitely after your time when they were at their peak of relevance. But over the years that they were gaining popularity, their fan base was obsessed with shipping them together. And if you aren't familiar, shipping just means short for relationship. They're vying for these two people to be in a romantic relationship together, these two men. And eventually, in 2019, they both individually did come out as gay, but they did not say that they were in a relationship together.
Oh,
and that changed just last week when they made a video finally revealing the truth, which is that they are in a relationship.
There's a 20 there.
Retro Hero said, FYI, it was a dig at the icky frog pond. Tim is sexy. Oh.
Okay. So it wasn't me
Don't clip me saying that.
Okay.
Okay. Didn't expect that part.
Could be anybody. It could be Tim Dillon.
Once these YouTubers finally revealed this information that they are in a relationship, all of the shippers felt vindicated in what they had been doing for over a decade at that point. And what they were doing is repeatedly invading their privacy, doxing them, taking photos of them in public without their knowledge, going through their entire digital footprint, scouring for evidence, and they are obsessed with it. And this is something that really stemmed from a shipping culture around fictional characters that was then extended to real people. And that's really where I think it jumps the shark and becomes inappropriate and immoral, is when you start to invade on people's real lives and invade their privacy because you see them as a fictional character in a show that you watch, which is something they talked about in this video. They said, fan fiction, creative writing, look, that's fine mostly, but then it becomes, I wish they were really dating, or are they gay? And look, that's a valid question for people to have, but a line gets crossed when that turns into, let's find out. It's weird because it's almost as if people are no longer interested in the real you. It was kind of disheartening when you put so much effort into a video and then all the comments were, OMG, they touched. They were enough for it to become too loud to ignore, and multiple times I spoke up about it. And for the most toxic people, it just made them hate me because me trying to deny it was getting in the way of their fun. They wanted nothing more than for fan to be real, and me saying no meant that it was like I was an evil showrunner from keeping the gay storyline that they wanted. Except I'm not the writer of a show, or of the Dan show. I am literally Dan. So he was saying these people took the dynamic that they have with characters in fictional shows and movies and extended it over to them. Okay. And that's just scratching the surface of why people rail against shipping culture and shippers, is they just seem to have zero boundaries.
Yes.
But
I mean, it happens when you see the examples where don't even go to as far as the shipping, but like a character's a bad guy on TV, and then like people will hate that actor.
Yes, that's a
like,
thing.
That's crazy work.
There is no distinction between the role that you're playing
now that you see
and the real person.
Here's the thing. Now that I know that that's a real thing, I understand now why people get obsessed with the idea of being seen on screen, of like representation, because there's no subtlety, there's no understanding of the barrier between the creative world and the real world. That's insane.
Well, now I just learned there is no barrier between multiple fictional worlds. I realized there is a new term called crack ship. And if you call something a crack ship, that means you are shipping two characters that exist in entirely unrelated fictional universes. And the most popular crack ship at the moment, which I have not been able to escape on my algorithm, is Regina George from Mean Girls and Roderick Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I cannot escape this content. Agreed. And you can see in this edit, there are countless edits like this. People are making fan edits of the two characters together over like Avril Lavigne songs, Blink-182 songs, and they use this to fantasize about this fictional relationship that never existed and never could exist, because obviously they're totally unrelated stories.
This is Marvel's fault for making cinematic universes popular.
Low-key, is their fault.
It really is Marvel's fault.
And then I was led to a list of guidelines for how to ship ethically, in case any of you may be interested. So here are some of the guidelines for responsible shipping. Do not confront the idols directly about ships if they're real people, whether in comment sections or in real life.
I guess that's fair.
Yes.
That's a good thing. I mean, like, there shouldn't have to be guidelines.
It's just like, why does any of this
being
need
a
to be
normal
said?
person means that these should be unspoken things, but okay, continue.
Respect their privacy. Never stalk, follow, or share private or leaked footage of any kind. Again, shouldn't need to be said. Keep shipping within fan spaces. Do not contact brands, family members, restaurants, or others to validate or inquire about ship-related matters.
What?
Avoid dragging others into your ship. Don't build elaborate conspiracies or manipulate narrative that are vilifying people or events to support your preferred narrative.
So they did this on the X-Files, where like they took glee in making sure that they kept Mulder and Scully apart, and there were even examples where David Duchovny wore his real wedding ring, like wore his wedding ring in episodes as like a, because he's not married in the show.
As like a sort of nod to like F off.
Yes. I mean, I can't speak to what his reasoning was, but yeah. And like, okay, so for instance, when they made the X-Files movie, they filmed a scene of them kissing, and then it got removed. They didn't put it in the final cut, and they said the best you can get is that there's a scene where Mulder has to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on Scully. That's all you get. Okay. You don't get the actual kiss. None.
And furthermore, do not spread rumors or false information to make your ship seem real. Distinguish fiction from reality. This one's important. Disclaimers exist for a reason. Fan-created content is not evidence of real-life relationships.
Take your antipsychotics.
Avoid deceptive media manipulation. Don't create or share AI or photo/video edits that could be mistaken for genuine footage.
No, there's no intersection of the internet I would want to be caught on less than shippers talking about AI.
Last night, I came across, I was just searching actually for Lara Trump's music video.
Why?
Where she's like singing really badly with autotune. I was just like trying to find that video. And what came up in my suggested search was an AI generated video of Erica Kirk and Melania Trump singing a duet.
Why? Wait.
It was incredibly disturbing.
What song?
Oh no, it was an AI generated song as well about Charlie.
Oh wow.
And I was just like, why does this exist? Just like stop. And there were tons of comments from boomers thinking it was real. Anyway, consume responsibly. Always seek out and understand original verified content. And lastly, reflect on your behavior. If a ship causes you to develop hostility toward an idol or participate in organized hate campaigns, it's time to reassess your mindset and values.
Look, I'm sorry, but this is like, that's all actually good advice. It's just that to you and me or anybody with like a certain sense of social decorum, these are unwritten rules.
Oh, but here was a footnote. If you're against shipping culture, hold yourself to the same standard. Don't ship yourself with idols either. It's essentially the same behavior. If you can't refrain from doing that, perhaps it's best not to judge others and instead focus on your own boundaries. I'm sorry, what kind of accusation is that? I don't ship myself with fictional characters in movies.
Yeah.
Where is that assumption coming from? That's just normal. Okay? No, I'm gonna freely hate on shipping culture. Thank you very much. Here's another defense of shipping culture in this TikTok. Do you have this from
This one here?
This is a TikToker claiming that if you're against shipping culture, you're actually headed down an alt-right pipeline.
If you can distinguish the real world from fictional written characters, you are alt-right. Here we go.
I fear TikTok may crucify me for this one, but I, for one, am more than a little concerned about the anti-shipper rhetoric to alt-right radicalization pipeline in fandom spaces. Like my brothers in Christ, you sound like fucking moms for liberty. Oh my god.
So I guess they're conflating being against shipping with right-wing or Christian purity culture. I don't know. We're kind of just saying that you need to be a normal human being and not disrespect actual people and treat them like they're fictional.
I guess it's just, I've just come to accept that I've never been part of any fandom. Ever. For as much as I talk about these shows and movies that I love, it's an entirely solitary experience.
I don't know. Why does it have to be worded that way? Like, you can be a fan of whatever you want. Why does that mean that you're in a community?
I don't want to be in a community.
I don't want to be associated with a whole community of people. And I'll admit, I ran like a fan account for like bands that I liked when I was like 13. Then I grew up. It took like maybe a year, and I was like, okay, I'm not really interested in this anymore. But most of these people don't grow out of that phase. And now Hollywood would be damned if they didn't take up the opportunity to make money off of toxic fandom culture and shipping culture, which they're evidently doing at Lionsgate. They have already hired professional TikTok fan editors in order to market their movies, both the old ones that came out maybe decades ago and the new ones that they're trying to promote that come to theaters.
Yeah, here's I can't play the music.
This is wild.
This is from Ballerina.
They're hiring like 15-year-olds to edit this shit.
Here's the thing.
It's crazy.
I'm not inherently against the idea of the studios doing this.
No, I'm not against it either. I'm against it when it comes to the shipping aspect.
So it kind of goes in the same vein as whenever they costume these superheroes and the costumes look bad, they inevitably compare it to some cosplayer who does infinitely better with no money. And they're like, why is this cosplayer on a shoestring budget able to create a comic book accurate version of this character, and you in the studio with your millions of dollars and your infinite wisdom are not? Because genuine fans pay attention to details. So when you make videos like this, first of all, what it does is it bypasses the rigid structure of creativity. Meaning like, okay, so Ballerina was marketed a specific way. It had a certain tone. It had a certain music style. It had that Amy Lee music video. My goodness. But the point is it runs the risk of feeling one-dimensional because it's got a certain creative through line, because that's how you get a movie made. It has to have a unified idea. But not everybody who consumes media necessarily then, regurgitates it to the world in the same vein, which is why you see fan edits of characters in movies with like trap beat songs and things like that. It still gets people interested in characters, but it's just outside of the structure, the very, very rigid structure of the way movies are promoted in Hollywood. And let's face it, Hollywood has waved the white flag to TikTok. It has waved the white flag to vertical video. In many ways, shape, or form. So I actually think that this is probably a very, very smart marketing move, especially with the old franchises, where you can inject new excitement into old franchises by putting some type of Britney Spears work bitch over Katniss Everdeen shooting a bow and arrow.
Yeah, well, they interviewed the head of digital marketing at Lionsgate in this Variety article. What if a movie trailer had filters and huge neon text and was set to a Dua Lipa song? What if it was made by a teenager in the Philippines or Brazil using pirated material?
Yep.
What if the plot of the film was entirely irrelevant? If you spent time on TikTok, odds are you've seen your fair share of fan edits, intricately crafted montages of film, TV, or other clips that are set to popular music. Some are like highlight reels, others are memes, and still others are fantasy-based interpretations of popular media that stray far from the tone or text of the source material.
That's the point.
Hence the shipping aspect. Take, for instance, hashtag #SidCarmy, a hashtag that offers hundreds of edits that project a romantic relationship between the two platonic main characters of the bear. That's, I think, where you go wrong.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with making a hype reel about John Wick or something like that.
Yeah.
But when it gets to Hollywood studios paying to create ship content, I feel like we've gone too far.
Yeah, I agree.
But they did credit these fan edits with resurgence in the Twilight fandom.
Absolutely.
And part of the reason at least, why the Twilight movies were then brought back for theatrical release in theaters. Like, I believe that had a significant impact in getting Gen Z interested in that franchise.
Lionsgate actually makes the most sense for this, because and maybe it's just because it's the intersection of where my interests lie, but I used to see endless John Wick like aura farming reels.
Yeah.
That was a very, very popular
It's free advertising.
trend. Yeah. All right.
Except when you start paying the editors, it's not free anymore.
Well, yeah, but it costs less than some accredited editor.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Shane H. Wilder, Robert Delara said Disney should not be producing any sexual implicit stories. Just let kids be kids. Well, it depends on whether you think that the story in Versa about pregnancy and pregnancy loss is somehow sexually implicit. Because obviously you're talking about pregnancy, sex would be implied only to an adult audience, it's a gray area. I don't know.
I do want to point out in the chat that my beautiful wife pointed out that she once had a One Direction in 5 Seconds of Summer fan account that had over 750,000 followers.
Okay, wait.
I wasn't going to blow up her spot.
Wait, how many followers?
750,000 followers.
Crazy.
I knew that story and I thought about mentioning it.
Is it gone? Is it still up?
It's gone.
Why?
I don't know.
I wish I could look at it.
But the point is I wasn't going to mention it unless she mentioned
hilarious.
it first. But yes.
When was that?
She'd have to let you know. I don't know
so
when that was,
funny.
but love you, honey.
Were you, Olivia, were you a carrot? Tell me if you were a carrot.
She'll have to let us know.
Alejandro Reyes said, completely unrelated to anything you're talking about, watching Warehouse 13 since Brett reminded me the magic video call, not phone, is funny now.
Magic video?
Video call, not phone? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So they have these things that are called Farnsworths, which they communicate. It's like the whole show is kind of steampunk aesthetic for the tech. And they communicate on these things called a Farnsworth, which was invented by Philo Farnsworth. And it's a video system that they call people on. It's like, it looks like a piece of steampunk tech. It's got the round screen and it's black and white. It was very cool for the time. And in 2009, it was a very cool aesthetic. You should all go watch Warehouse 13. It was fantastic.
Shane H. Wilder said the opening of Up was a masterpiece in itself. It rips your heart out and sets up the film exquisitely. It's one of the last great Pixar movies. Yeah, I agree. And it's well deserving of the praise that it gets. And I'm glad I remembered that they included the miscarriage scene in that movie. I think that would be a good thing to compare it to.
She said that it's been out of business since 2015.
What does that mean?
She ran it from 2013 to 2015.
2013, 2015?
She said, yeah, it's gone
Did she clarify whether or not she is a carrot? Was a carrot?
I don't see. Olivia, let us know. Are you a carrot?
I remember that being a term.
I don't
at the
know
time.
what that means. I need to know. I'm scared now.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said that's not a mermaid, that's a humpback whale. Yeah. No Control said gay mermaids should change name to fat mermaids.
They should.
Yeah.
Do one more.
Censored 86 said Turkey Tom just leaked some of Tyler Robinson's Discord logs and talked to an old roommate. Please tell Tim there's some crazy info. Why don't you tell Tim? I mean, Tim probably already knows.
Yes.
Because he pays attention to this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so there have been like a few times where I've sent Tim like articles about like stuff to cover. And like a few times he's been like mildly excited or interested. And I'm like, got him. That's right. Got him the information before somebody else did. I think it was like the Angel Studios IPO and some of the stuff about AI movie studios and stuff like that. But otherwise,
He loves
like
talking about AI movies.
Otherwise, like if you send Tim information, he's likely already seen it.
Tim is the type of person who does create movies in his head, so he's the perfect person to
me and you are not
generate them with AI.
Me and you are
we are not interested in that. No.
Like bro, I can barely I barely have the brain power to like pick a movie to watch, let alone like make my own.
Thanks.
Like no, thank you. All right, let's move on.
So you guys might recall me introducing you to the idea of a rage ritual, more aptly called a female rage ritual. And all of these middle to upper class women are paying thousands of dollars to attend rage retreats where they join each other in the woods to beat the ground with sticks and scream into the open air and just let out all of that rage that they have pent up inside. And there is a new iteration of this. It's called a Scream Club, and there are many Scream Clubs cropping up internationally. They're in many major cities at this point. I saw chapters in Seattle, San Francisco, in Palm Beach, in London, in Detroit, in Chicago, in Austin. They're cropping up all over the country and overseas. And the entire purpose is to join a community of people and scream out into the air to release your pent-up stress and also seemingly make friends with other people who are attracted to the idea of joining a scream club, which I can't imagine who that selects for. The Washington Post has put out a piece about scream clubs now, and it's gaining mainstream attention. Here is a video from one of the original scream clubs that cropped up in Chicago. They say, sometimes you just need to scream. Across the lake and out into the void, this Chicago Scream Club gathers every Sunday to let out their weekly angst with a bit of breath work and a big old yell.
I'm going to, take the headphone off my good ear here. I don't know how loud this is, but let's go for it. Here, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Well, they adjusted it for us. I feel like they weren't trying hard enough.
Like a pressure cooker. And what happens when the pressure cooker gets too pressurized, right? It explodes. I think this is a good way for us to be able to, in a healthy way, release whatever we have going on inside out into the void, and then reducing that pressure that we have inside.
After doing this, I become more happier, a lot happier. And in fact, I get to meet a lot of people who are going through, different things, and, there's no judgment here.
Okay. You know what? I've changed my mind.
I would like to show another example from a scream club in Minneapolis.
The TikTok link?
From TikTok, yes.
Okay, here we go. Again, watch your ears, guys. I don't know how loud some of these are.
They call it the land of 10,000 screams, by the way.
The guys are all screaming, "Let's go." Where's the 6'7" guy from that video yesterday? We need to get him over here.
Hey guys.
Okay.
So that was another example of a scream club. And the guy that you saw in the video from Chicago is the founder of the official Scream Club, which has multiple chapters throughout the country. And he says that he is a men's coach and breathwork practitioner. He says in his sessions, he has seen how powerful sound can be for emotional release. Some of the most transformational breakthroughs he has witnessed happen when people finally allow themselves to scream, to move stuck energy, release old emotions, and feel fully alive. So him and his wife came up with this idea, and now it's trademarked and it's spreading to other cities. It's contagious. And there's another chapter now in Austin. There is another in London. And they also did a piece on the London Scream Club in The Guardian. This is one of several gatherings across the UK where mostly young people meet to scream into the open air as a form of release. A TikTok video of a public group scream in Minneapolis went viral, inspiring offshoots, and now cities including London and Birmingham. Participants follow a few simple rules. Hydrate, respect your body's limits. If you feel dizzy, pause. That's according to their website. For many, it's not just about noise, but connection, community, and finding new ways to cope with stress. One says, it's important to connect with others. In a city like London, people are constantly stressed. It's nice to be able to release your energy together. It's not only a scream club, but also a social club. And she started the group to release pent-up energy from the stresses of work, life, and being a girl. What began as a viral trend quickly evolved into a new kind of third space, and this term is used for something that's quickly waning from public life, a public space where you can go outside of work and home, where you don't have to spend exorbitant amounts of money, and it's comfortable and meant for human interaction. We're seeing most businesses becoming hostile to that.
Like Starbucks.
And this Scream Club is one example of a third space that some in the group say they have been searching for, a setting that doesn't revolve around alcohol or spending money. That's another rule. You cannot show up inebriated. We need more social clubs, she says. There aren't many places for young people to go meet others without spending money or feeling pressured to drink. People really need that. For others, the Scream Club is an experiment in vulnerability. One 20-year-old says she came along after seeing the trend on TikTok. I realized I've never screamed at a loud volume in my whole life. which is just crazy to think about. How have you never screamed? So I wanted to see how that would feel. Is it tension relieving? A few years ago, I would have never imagined myself I'd come to a park and scream with strangers. She found the experience unexpectedly freeing. It helps with social anxiety. It's fun, but you also go home feeling refreshed because you've met and spoken to new people. That in itself is a kind of therapy. And I think that's really the answer here as to why they're doing this. They kind of just want to talk to people, and screaming is the excuse to do it.
It releases endorphins.
I don't think screaming is really the focal point here.
Yeah, but the thing it does, it releases endorphins. You will feel different after doing so.
But what they're clearly hungering for is a community, not
originally
screaming.
I was gonna hate on principle, but you know what? Whatever. As long as nobody's trying to record like a movie scene down the street, I guess I don't care.
Can you pull up the Instagram of the London Scream Club, by the way? Because it's clearly run by...
They're aesthetic maxing.
A Gen Z girl. They're putting together these mood boards and different inspiration pictures for how you can prepare for your scream. You know, you gotta have your matcha for an energy boost in the morning before you go to the Scream Club. And you gotta have, some lip balm so your lips don't get chapped while you're screaming. You gotta have your Stanley cup to rehydrate in the middle of your screaming session. And it's become a whole lifestyle for some of these people, apparently.
It is a trend that will wane, and in 3 months they will be on to, the ones who lost weight will go on to Run Club, and the ones who didn't lose weight will go on to Twerk Club. And
I'll say, to be fair to them, at least the people organizing the Scream Clubs aren't charging exorbitant amounts of money like the women who were organizing the female rage rituals.
Yeah, like my instinct was that I was going to hate on this. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I don't care one bit. Like, this is I think a lot of the intellectualizing around why you do it is a little bit corny, and certainly the guy talking about being like a teacher of breath work is a bit corny, but young people getting together, and albeit for something that the average person might consider silly, on its face I understand exactly why they would do it, because like I said, screaming does release endorphins. It does have a chemical it does have a chemical effect on your body, and then they obviously give you examples as to why. It's the social interaction. It's all of these other things. I can't hate. I can't hate on this. I thought I was going to hate on this. I can't hate on this.
I also wanted to mention that in case you don't have a chapter of Scream Club near you, you can participate virtually on screamclub.club. And I just want to give a demonstration.
So we can listen to the screaming.
We can listen to a live feed of people screaming literally right now.
I hope this works. Here we go.
I hope it does.
Oh, it's like...
Is it allowing you to listen? Oh. Yep. Okay, so you get the picture. That's what you could do if you don't have a Scream Club in your city.
Look, like I said, I can't.
That's
I can't
actually
hate on this.
people screaming in real time.
I am Team Scream Club. So another skit idea, like you show up thinking it's going to be fans of the movie Scream, and it's just people screaming out into
show up with your merch.
Like I show up in a ghost face mask, and they're like, what are you doing?
What's going on? And then they interviewed another student, a 21-year-old, who said they discovered this also through social media, saying, I've been stressed out a lot recently. I can't really scream at home. My parents would be confused. But here, everyone is in the same boat. Nobody's judging you. He believes the trend reflects the difficulty many young people face in accessing mental health support, citing how in the UK, they obviously have the NHS system. They can't get access to a therapist. There are huge wait times to...
Oh, that's interesting.
...to get private therapy.
I thought socialized healthcare was the way to go.
Yeah, right. Coming here and having some sort of stress relief, even if you're not talking about your problems, works for people. And that's another thing. I think they're really underselling the value of the conversation that follows after the scream. That's the valuable part in all of this. And that's why I'm willing to give them credit where it's due. People want to talk to other people, even if they're not talking to a therapist about themselves and their own problems. It sometimes is more therapeutic to take an interest in other people and also just have basic pleasantries with strangers, which is increasingly just becoming a thing of the past as we turn to kiosks to order our food, and everything has an app.
They would talk back in the day about how, what was the store that introduced like cashiers specifically for older patrons who wanted to talk? Do you remember that? There was like a store where like
vaguely,
like older people could go through lines where it was like they were expected to have longer conversations because that's what the older people were there to do.
But that's even just that, like being something that they had to implement is so sad to me.
Yeah. It's a breakdown of social order and like the the way things work in your community.
And even cars really make people feel so alienated from their larger community and society in general, because you're in this tiny space that's totally private. You can listen to whatever you want to listen to in the car. You control the temperature inside your car. You're the master of this vehicle that takes you at extreme speeds wherever you want to go. And it makes you feel like not only more powerful than you are, but also more alone than you really are.
I used to explain. First of all, like when you go through a period of adulthood where you don't have a car, that becomes even more apparent. But what I would joke about is like kids these days, like teenagers in cars don't scream, like don't call you names outside the window of the car anymore, and that just feels like a net negative for society. Like it should be a hallmark of being a teenage boy that you hurl obscenities at people when you're driving around. That's
a thing.
It's part of growing up. Like, and then eventually you get older and you're like, that was cringe. That was stupid. Why was I doing that? But it's part of your coming of age.
I will say I am surprised that an outlet like The Guardian didn't immediately politicize this.
Yeah, I know.
Although it's kind of implicit in the people that this attracts. It's mostly Gen Z women, so you can imagine the things that are stressing them out. They're worried about climate change and abortion rights.
Well, they gotta yell. They gotta yell to stop the patriarchy.
The closest they got to politicizing this phenomenon was toward the end of the article, where they interview so-called drama workshop leader and sex educator, who says scream clubs have resonated with young people for so many reasons, but especially the state of the world and all of the horrific things that are happening. Sometimes it can feel hopeless, and we're conditioned to think we're not allowed to feel that. So I guess they had to go find a safe space.
Yeah.
To let it all out.
All right. Let's I really did think I was going to hate harder on that one, but you know what? Do what you got to do.
Sure. Value in You said, Brett, Mary, best few books you've ever read and why?
Look, I'm not a voracious reader by any sense of the imagination, but I really loved the book Into the Wild about, was it Christopher McCandless, the guy who went out into the wilderness because he wanted to like reject society, but he ended up dying in like the Alaskan wilderness or whatever it is. Got made into a movie with like Emil Hirsch. But I read that book. I think the reason I liked it so much wasn't even just the book, which I read multiple times, which was my dad's, and he actually made like an individualized cover for it made out of newspaper articles about what happened to him. So my dad was is so creative. I forget about that sometimes. Probably that one.
For me, I'm not usually a fan of fiction in general, but I really like Brideshead Revisited. I did also like C.S. Lewis's Space trilogy. Although it's been a long time since I read that. And then nonfiction, I like C.S. Lewis' Surprised by Joy. I like, this is more recently. I read Mary Harrington's book, Feminism Against Progress. I thought it was really good. And currently I am reading Carrie Gress's book. Why do I forget the title now?
Love it when that happens.
I'll remember it in a few minutes. But yeah, I'm usually not a fiction reader. Abstract Cats official TSG said reading and chess are racist.
I've been told that before. We got a 20 here on Rumble from West422. Says, Mary, now that you have been to Rome, any plans to visit the second Rome, Constantinople, or the third Rome, Moscow?
Not imminently, but I would have nothing against the idea eventually. I'm sure it'll pique my interest.
Jake, it's like Jake Lee, 52, says, have either of you tried Angel's streaming service? Hold on.
Well, no, I have not, but there was more in there.
Yeah. Okay. Says, have you either of you tried Angel's streaming service? I think he means Angel Studios. Thinking about canceling Max and switching. Enough quality content. Thanks. Maybe this is sacrilege in the community, but I would literally never do that. I just wouldn't. Maybe I'd get the streaming service for for a period of time, but I wouldn't sacrifice another one to watch, like, I guess, religious or...
I mean, it obviously has far less content in quantity.
Yes, yeah.
And I totally, respect their endeavor and think that they're
putting in
really
a lot of
impressive, but probably also less quality.
Again, like, it's just,
if we're comparing it to the libraries that exist on all of the mainstream platforms.
And most of the stuff, like, I've been watching increasingly less streaming services. I really got Olivia into NCIS, which is a big boon for me. But I watch my MB server a lot, which is just shows from over the years that I've got on that server, shows that are not on any of the streaming services, and I don't want to, like, repurchase on Amazon where I won't even own it outright. Mm-hmm. So, and you got another 20 from I guess, is that JL James? Says, catching the last half hour live just to give y'all some dough. Love you guys, but Brett, give Chad Powers another try. It is my only disagreement when it comes to your TV show selections. I will fully admit that I didn't give it a whole lot of time. The second I see inherently annoying and unlikable characters, I tend to turn it off. And I understand that that's a little bit, there's more leeway there when it comes to the comedy genre. But perhaps I will give it another try. But again, like, the fact that it's comedy to begin with is working against me. I'm just not a huge comedy TV show guy.
We have a 20 from Brian Bledsoe. Mary, do you think the criticism of Christians celebrating Halloween is more about what it has become with the dark undertones, with the costumes and themes like graveyards and dressing up like the devil being part of it nowadays? Yeah, definitely. The commercialization of Halloween is not inherently Christian. I was only trying to point out that Halloween itself is inherently Christian, and I don't think that we should completely write off the context and the history of the holiday just because we don't like the way that it's been capitalized on by Hollywood and Spirit Halloween costumes. There is a way to do it in a way that is sacrilegious and I think is inappropriate for kids, but there's a better way to celebrate it in a way that's totally fine. And I think it's unwise to write it off entirely because it just makes you seem like you hate fun. And I never understood why I had so many friends who weren't allowed to celebrate Halloween. It was weird to me growing up that they weren't allowed to do that because for the most part, it's relatively harmless. And themes like graveyards, I mean, that might have something to do with the fact that it's All Hallows Eve and we're talking about saints who have died oftentimes for the church in gruesome ways. And when I was in high school, we celebrated it with, like, dressing up as our favorite saints, and a lot of kids would come, wearing the wounds of martyrdom that saints who were beheaded. They would put prosthetic blood and wounds on their necks to represent that, or they would be, like, holding a beheaded skull or whatever. I mean, like, it's part of it, like, people died for the church. Why should we not
see in a well-made TV show in modern age? If they were to actually write something well, there would be like kids getting together for Halloween, and they're all wearing very, very like tame costumes, and then the Christian child comes like that and has to give like a diatribe about what it is, and it would actually be really novel and interesting.
Right.
But nobody's smart enough to do it.
Yeah, there are a lot of themes that have been tacked on to Halloween that I dislike, but inherently I think it's a good thing. Urashima Otaru said, Zack Snyder is the worst. That is all. Wow. Brett doesn't agree with you.
I do not. I do not. I can't say that I agree with you on that. But it doesn't matter. Like who am I helping myself with? Because the Snyder Bros will still attack me because I'm not like bowing down at Zack Snyder's feet and prostrating myself before him as if he is my god.
Yeah, it's never good enough for them.
It's never good enough.
Shane H. Wilder said, or maybe, and hear me out, don't ship people, rather real or fictional. It's weird. Look, I think it's fine to watch a show where you're rooting for a certain couple of characters to end up together.
See them get
like,
together, yeah.
I think that's different than engaging in an online community dedicated to that, to the fan art and the Photoshop and AI edits and the fan edits on TikTok and the fan fiction and the smut, and it just gets taken to a really book talk place.
Yeah.
It's fine to ship if it were really what it claims to be, but it's not.
And most of the time, let's face it, the lead up to a relationship in a show is far more interesting than the actual execution.
True.
If I was supreme overlord of television and movies, me, if you spend any length of time like really, really building up two characters, like moonlighting-esque, and they get together, you are hereby banned from breaking them up. Like, I don't want to see relationship drama.
But then how do you keep it exciting for the audience?
I don't want it.
Know?
Then the show should be
they
interesting enough.
They don't have the will they, won't they anymore.
The show should be interesting enough in other ways that you can enhance that with their relationship. Now, they can go through struggles relating to their relationships, I guess. But most of the time, it just ends up becoming melodrama. And they start having disagreements. It's the type of thing where, like, somebody just doesn't say something. And like it's a problem that could be fixed by a character just saying something to the other character, and for some reason they don't. If you watch any length of TV, you know what I'm talking about. None of that. They should be together, and they should start building their relationship in other ways, perhaps with a family, with children. Mm-hmm. Don't just like put them together so they can start fighting again. I hate that shit.
Well, they kind of did that with Pam and Jim in The Office.
Again, who wants to see that?
I think they momentarily broke up, if I recall correctly. But they got back together and they ended up getting married and having a kid. Corey Anderson, I'm not reading that. Kyle Dixon said, Philo Farnsworth is the inventor of the television. Futurama named the old guy after him.
Yeah. So one of the things that the show Warehouse 13 did is it used real inventions and real people to create a sort of magic form of alt history, which is that artifacts were created when some type of moment of scientific genius would happen or true human emotion, and it would be things like that. So it was a very good show. People should watch Warehouse 13.
Corey Anderson said, Phil has been in a scream club for over 2 decades. These people just need to listen to metal or hardcore. Or maybe join a metal band. That would help. Censored 86 said, I tagged him in an X post, but he ain't gonna see it. Not our problem. No Control said, Scream Club, back in my day we had mosh pits. Very true, but Gen Z doesn't really, they don't be leaving the house like that.
Well, unless it's to go to the water in Chicago and scream.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, where'd we go wrong when we need to go online to scream? The Austin one is free, and it seems like people chit-chat after. Not my bag, but I'm not hating. Shane, I know you've mentioned being near Austin. Can you please do some investigative journalism for the show and show up to the next Scream event and tell us your takeaways? I want to know everything. I want to know what type of person this attracts. Ask the real hard-hitting questions. I'm dying to know. Brian Bledsoe said, Mary wants smart cities with her anti-car talk. Look, I'm not anti-car. We're well past the point where anyone could be anti-car. Like, we all have cars. That's just the reality of it. I want places where I can walk instead of driving, preferably. I think a lot of people feel that way. And it's true that cars have impacted our psychology. It's just true. It makes people feel more aggressive and isolated. And it's, in a way, sort of a power fantasy. That's why you can oftentimes be in a situation where you're on the road and someone is putting everyone's life in danger and they don't think that it holds any gravity because they aren't looking at the people around them.
Yeah.
It's inherently dehumanizing.
There's an interesting like aspect to like you can do something stupid in a car, like not like something stupid like necessarily on purpose, but like you can F up, but it doesn't matter because you just keep driving and you'll never see that person again. That's something that those were like those thoughts that I would have when I didn't have a car and I was walking to get everywhere. I was like, man, you can just be stupid. And you're never going to see that person again. Yeah. Whereas if I like walk into the intersection and somebody almost hits me, then people are just going to stare and I can't escape the situation the way they can.
Right.
Bad times.
Corey Anderson said, Brett, Eastbound and Down, are you a fan?
I have not seen it, nor have I seen Trailer Park Boys, both ones that I have to get around to seeing at some point.
Shane H. Wilder said, my 3 book recommendations, The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch, Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom, and Power of Silence by Cardinal Sarah, all nonfiction. Okay. Thank you for the recommendations. Corey Anderson said a St. Bartholomew costume would be dope. Yeah, I remember that he was martyred, but I don't remember how, so you'll have to explain. Fresh Meat said, my book recommendations, Temeraire series and the Forgotten Ruin series.
Okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, my parish has the kids dress up as saints. Last year, a kid was Padre Pio with the stigmata. It was very well done. Interesting. Pop Culture Junkie said, I had a replica Farnsworth that unfortunately got stolen. So pissed.
I would love to know how it got stolen. Was it like, did you like have it at work? Like, so I've told the story a million times how, in my eBay cart, there is a WWF Winged Eagle, Big Eagle belt that is omnipresent. It just sits there. It will never be removed because I'm never going to spend the money on it. And right under that is a replica of the voice changer that Ghostface used in Scream 3 that could not just change his own voice, but could imitate other people's voice, which was science fiction when that movie came out in 2000, basically, but now is basically reality. And that also sits there in my checkout bin that I have to, every time I go to buy something on eBay, I have to put it into the save for later and then move it back. Sad.
Well, what I'm not going to do is read the remainder of Corey Anderson's super chats, but what I am going to do is shill for my coffee, guys. Go to castbrew.com and grab yourself a bag of Mary's Ghost Blend. It's s'mores flavored, it's perfect for autumn, and you already know I'm pro Halloween. It's perfect for the Halloween season, telling ghost stories around the campfire.
It's in the description box for this video, so you should go and check that out, guys. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel, perhaps, if you are new and you have not subscribed here yet already. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X, that is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous, that is also Mary Archived.
All right. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. The show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is another great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. I see a couple
We have a handful more.
Okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, I looked it up and they do the Scream Clubs when I'm at Sunday Vespers. Also, from what I've seen, it's mostly college kids screaming off of the bridge. Yeah, hopefully nobody gets too close to the edge. Brian Bledsoe said, I get it. When you mentioned about cars, I can hear the smart city people use that to get people to accept it. Yeah, I'm definitely anti-smart city and being surveilled upon.
And then I saw
Corey Anderson said, most St. Bart statues show him wrapped in his flayed skin. It's pretty effing metal. Brett, did you like Metalocalypse?
Megalopolis?
Metalocalypse.
I don't even know what that is.
Don't worry, it's really bad.
Okay.
Pop Culture Junkie said, I came as Philo Farmsworth to a Halloween party and left the replica there. Alcohol involved.
Well, it could happen to anybody, right?
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We will be back with another
one more. From Crouching Taylor Hidden Swift. Mary, millennial men are not really that much better than Gen Z men. They still have general internet brain rot as well as video game rot. Come on now. I mean, it certainly doesn't go for the majority, but if we're making general statements, I do think that Gen Z men are significantly more brain rotted and chronically online than millennial men, and it's mostly because they grew up that way, as I did. So there is why I've recommended Gen Z women to date millennial men.
Okay. All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining us today. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.